You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to facebook.com/thesportsfix, facebook.com/thesportsfix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/thesportsfixcle, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, the Sports Fix on social media, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Join the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome in, everybody. We are live. Tuesday edition of the Sports Fix here as we continue on. Holiday week, Thanksgiving week coming up here. And, man, I'll tell you, I'm a little under the weather today, but we're on the air. That's all that matters. We made it here. Now there's no turning back. Up until this point, the option was there to turn back. But now at this point, suck it up, Buttercup, and move forward. So that's what we're doing. And as always, I brought out the old trademark jam-packed edition of the Sports Fix today. We've got a lot going on, a lot to get into. We're going to talk some Cavs hoops here in a little bit. Maybe somebody was listening. Maybe, I don't know. No. Hey, listen, man. You better bounce the Magic by 30 points. We'll talk about that in a minute. But some things that I saw, not just on the court, but before the game. We talked about this a bit yesterday, perhaps, maybe realizing that there's more than one way to catch a fish. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as the old expression goes. There's more than one way to lead guys to water. But can you make them drink? No, we'll talk about the Cavs here in a minute as they whooped on the Magic last night. We'll talk some Monday Night Football. Both games last night affect the Browns in different ways. Of course, the Bills, man, they rolled, but then again, they played the Jets, and at this point, I don't know that you would expect less, but they're coming in cooking, of course, having the Browns next for them, and the Ravens, they do their thing, and man, look at that North. We're going to talk about all of that with Dr. Football, Bill Checkus. We'll talk the latest on Johnny Football and all of that as the Browns anxiously awaiting an opportunity to view the video from this incident. You listen to we'll get into it in a little bit, but you listen to the explanation. You couldn't have two different versions of a story here as what you've got with whatever it is that happened the other night involving Johnny Manziel at his apartment. And even the stories are different depending on who writes it and who tells it. One person writes the story, describes it as coming from a bar or a club. One person writes the story, describes it as the man going home. And each narrative gives a different vision in your head. It's just funny to see. I always enjoy watching that. Truth in media. But I can't wait to see because video doesn't lie. Well, most of the time anyway. So we'll get a better idea for that, as will the Browns. But we're going to talk about all of that. It's Tuesday. That means Dr. Football. Bill Checkus is in the house. We'll talk about Monday Night Football, the Browns, the Falcons, the Crow, and T. West, and all of that. Josh Gordon's return, Dr. Football with us here just a little bit on. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. He's going to be with us. I'll tell you, free agency is getting cooking, and the Central is getting closer. Chicago is definitely closing the gap between the other teams in the division, and we're going to talk about all of that as well as the other Sox, the Red Sox. Call them green because that's all they're spending right now, man. We'll talk about all of that, Indians, free agency stuff, a little baseball talk with Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. I know, what are we doing? Talking baseball on Thanksgiving week, but we're going to try it. It's a noble concept, and it's so crazy, it just might work. Jeff Gorman, always with us on Tuesday talking baseball. We'll talk about Urban Meyer laying down the law for the Buckeyes this week and so much more. A lot of things to get into, so let's get into it. Welcome into the Sports Fix. J-Rock with you guys. Jerry Myers is my proper legal name. You guys call me the Big Daddy on the microphone, the coordinator and the conductor of the madness here weekdays at noon, live across the Sports Fix radio network. Welcome in those of you guys listening to us live on TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker and Mixler and their digital apps, and everybody listening as well all over the place on the sportsfix.net, our mothership, the home base. Welcome in as well, everybody listening 24/7. Digital delay around the world. iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider. iTunes. I thought we lost the connection there for a second. I got a really weird little thing that popped up in the corner, but not hearing anything from anybody. Everything, all the life, it's like the in the hospital. All the blips are going. Everything's good. We're monitored. All right. Welcome in, everybody listening on digital delay 24/7 on iHeartRadio, world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes. Those of you that download us and subscribe there, Stitcher Radio, CarPlay, SoundCloud. You know it. Every place that you get it. There's so many, it's hard to keep up with it. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sports Fix and be a part of the Sports Fix. I was telling somebody yesterday, I said, man, you know, I get so many people that send messages. They send messages live as we're going. They'll send the Facebook messages. They'll hit us up when they're listening to the show, you know, whatever time they're listening to the show. I said, man, if 1/3 of the people, not even if 1/10 of the people that sent messages to us during the shows would call instead of sending messages, I wouldn't have time to talk. And it just, anyways, I prefer verbal discourse. That's just me. In case you didn't know, I happen to be partial to talking just a little bit, but it is what it is. And I will gladly translate what we're talking about on all the social media into what we do on the show, like I try to do every day. But it's your show, it's your voice, so use it. The phone lines are open, 216-539-7535, 216-539-7535. Until you do, I just have to speak. I'm your de facto. I've got power of attorney, I guess, here. I speak for you. I look for your best interest. 216-539-7535. Hey, at least it's your best interest instead of mine, like most of the other guys out there in the media. 216-539-7535. Shot across the bow 8 minutes into the show. Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sportsfix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Before we get into anything else, let's start off with something cool. Hey, I've got something coming your way at the end of the week. It's Black Friday, because you guys know, obviously, we're going to take Thursday off, but we're going to be right back at it Friday for getting you all set for the weekend, and it's going to be a loaded edition of the Sports Fix, and we're going to get into the whole Black Friday thing, too. This is pretty cool. I had a package arrive yesterday. I've been expecting this, and I didn't want to say anything until it's all set and ready to roll, but I've got something for you guys, and I want to thank, by the way, Gray Publishing. I hooked up with them. Terry Pluto, Tom Hamilton, they put together, I'm sure you guys have seen it. We mentioned it. I talked about the preview thing that they had in the Plain Dealer, which was pretty cool. If you guys saw that a couple of weeks ago, they had a preview of a couple of chapters of it. Good stuff. And anyways, I'm going to have a copy of Glory Days in Tribetown, the Cleveland Indians and Jacobs Field, talking about specifically the 94, 95, 96, 97 Indians teams, the voice of the Indians, Tom Hamilton, Terry Pluto, one of the most renowned authors out of Cleveland, Ohio for sports books, Both of those guys put together a heck of a book here, and I've put together one for you, and we're going to give it away live this weekend, or heading into this weekend on Friday's show. Haven't decided yet. I may roll it into a weekend-long thing and announce the winner on Monday, but we're going to do the contest on Black Friday either way. And, hey, Charles, trying to ruin in the chat room? Yeah, I was going to definitely have a few other surprises, and we'll talk about that as the week goes on here. But Black Friday, we do this every year. We get a few things, couple of nifty giveaways for you guys. We do the Black Friday thing here. So the first announcement is one of the things that we will be giving away this Friday, getting you all ready for the holiday mood and spirit. Glory Days in Tribe Town, Terry Pluto, Tom Hamilton's new one, and over the next couple of weeks, looking to get both Terry and Tom on the show to talk a bit about this book. So there we go, some good stuff, starting things off right there. Speaking of good stuff and all of that, let's talk about the Cavs. It's good to have, by the way, something good to talk about today, which you had to, by the way, when you play the Orlando Magic. I mean, look, it is what it is, man. We talked about this before the season started when we said it's going to be a growing process, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. And no matter what, there's going to be nights where you roll the worst teams in the league by 30 points. And I'm not going to say Orlando's the worst because their name is not Philadelphia, but they're close enough to it. And they were shorthanded as well a little bit, so second leading scorer out for them. So it is what it is, but it was good to see some of the tenants, and we talked on yesterday's show. Look, I'm the guy that will just as quickly go back and give credit where credit is due, no matter what I said about something. Like, I don't dig in my trenches. Now, of course, I don't mean when there's principalities involved, but I'm talking about, if I say, hey, prove me wrong, and you prove me wrong, bam, let's do it. That's what this is all about, man. I don't sit there and go, well, I know the sky's blue, but I'm going to say it's purple because I told you it was purple yesterday, and Lord forbid I can't change what I told you. No, pretty open-minded about stuff, and I'm staying that way about the Cavs. You guys know my deal with all of that, and you know what I had to say the last few days, and I'm just saying, maybe somebody was listening. Maybe not to me, but it wasn't just here. Although maybe we were a few days ahead of everybody else as far as saying something vocally, but by yesterday, we were far from the only one. There were things out starting to bubble out over the weekend. We just jumped on it a bit the tail end of last week before the wave got going, but there was a lot of talk about, yes, you are the guy that's won some games and you've got championships, and yeah, that's what you're going to do is lead, but maybe the way you're doing it is not the right way. And that was the main point of what I was saying, and really I thought I must have done a pretty fair job because I didn't get hit with a lot of people telling me I was just bashing LeBron for no reason or whatever. So I usually can judge your feedback on stuff on whether, however, my angle on something was. It's a really good way of gauging things. That's how it's supposed to work anyway, and give and take, back and forth, all of that. But, clearly I think LeBron, obviously, whether he noticed it himself or had these things pointed out, maybe he flipped on SportsCenter and saw one or two, but it doesn't matter. Point being is whether he's really adapting his leadership style or just adapting the presentation of his leadership style, which is also possible. But either way, it's the right thing to do. It's the way, like I said, when I set it up, there's more than one way to go fishing. There's more than one way to do all kinds of different things. And that doesn't mean that the end result's not the same. I was telling some guys this, and I might have mentioned this on the show yesterday. You can do this a couple of different ways and still end up with a championship at the end, at the long-term end of it. It just, the way you go about it defines certain things about maybe the way you are. But either way, there's no set way that is in stone. Well, this is going to work, this isn't going to work. But at the same time, I understand leadership. I think a lot of you guys do too, because everybody was kind of reaching that point, Absolutely, Bruce. This has nothing to do, as I mentioned yesterday, I couldn't have stressed this enough. Zero to do with wins and losses. I could care less whether you're a game under 500, a game over 500, whatever. That was clearly, we spelled out how that was going to go. The point being, and if you're just going to hide behind that who panics at the early part of the season. Don't hide behind that line. There's nothing wrong with criticizing the way LeBron went about doing his thing the first couple weeks of the season. Come on now. That's what made me mad. Is everybody wants fairness when it comes to criticizing the Indians. Everybody wants fairness when it comes to criticizing the Dolans, and when it comes to criticizing the Browns, and when it comes to criticizing everybody else. We want fairness. We don't want anybody to play favorites. We'll be fair there too. Doesn't mean that the Cavs still aren't going to be a good team. Doesn't mean that LeBron isn't learning how to evolve as a leader. But do not